Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Think Your Way to an Epic Life. Thank you for listening, and today we are going to treat you big time. The guest that is on today, Shanan Steere, is the director of Base Coaching Group, and it is the most phenomenal dream come true that I've gotten to hear about personally. So Shanan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I'm happy to have you. So tell me just a little bit about how did you end up in coaching?
How did I end up in coaching? Well, I think it started in college because I was a communication degree and I always participated in sports. And so I've always been a sports fan. And in selling real estate, let's back up. So in my 20s, I worked for 2 Fortune 100 companies. In one of them, I became a national trainer. So it wasn't really coaching at that time. It was more training, right? Which they really come hand in hand together. And then I got into real estate when I was 29 and fell in love with real estate, sold a lot, sold about 550 homes in my first 8.5 years with just an admin, having babies, the chaos of life, right? It's crazy during that time. And I fell in love with coaching when I started developing a team. And in about 2005, I launched a Keller Williams Market Center in the Kansas City area. And we recruited 100 agents in the first year. We were clear out on the edge of the city.
100 agents?
Yes.
So people chose your brokerage over others, 100 of them. That's a lot, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I fell in love with recruiting during that time, which then led me the next year to apply for a job to go be what's called a team leader in the largest office in our region. And in that role is when I really got trained on coaching because I started coaching our top agents and exploding their businesses, and then obviously recruiting. So we ended up recruiting right at 100 agents every year in that role. We went from number 100 to number 25 in profit by building people's businesses. And that's when coaching really became evident to me. And I had a coach by the name of Mike Fleming, who's one of my favorite people in the world. And 3 months into coaching me as a team leader, he said, "Hey, here's your assignment. I want you to document everything you just told me and show it to me next week." And I thought, what is your problem? Just let me do my job. Why am I documenting this? And he said, "You're going to be a team leader coach. You just don't know it yet." So at month 3, he started preparing me to be a coach like him. So I had an incredible mentor in Michael, and he was literally my business partner and helped me. He didn't have to help me with how to recruit. He didn't have to help me with my numbers. We never did accountability on numbers because I was a huge driver. What he helped me with was the mindset of leadership. And that's when I really fell in love with leadership. And so when I had the opportunity in 2009 to become a leadership coach, that's when my trajectory of development just went through the roof.
Wow.
And I was a full-time coach. I coached about 45 market centers in leadership a week. Also, I teaching Bold, and I was a head Bold coach. I know, a little crazy, right?
Yeah, it's a lot crazy.
Well, if you think about it, I actually worked 4.5 days a week, made more money, and got to be with my kids on nights and weekends for all of their sports. So it was a really good move for me as a mom at the time of my kids' age. And I also had the opportunity to develop at such a crazy level during that time. And I'll tell you, it affected my kids massively because being a Bold coach during their formative years, wow. Now they can tell the fly story because they heard me role play it so many times. I'd come out of the bathroom where I'd role play and they'd be like, "Oh mom, oh mom, oh mom," right? There's the fly hitting the window. And yet their mindset today is so broad because of what they were exposed to in my mindset in their formative years. So, coaching is not just a passion of mine, it's a lifestyle. That was a long answer.
That was a beautiful answer, though. It is. And I'm obviously very interested in why you are so passionate about it, and you absolutely are. You are.
Oh, no, I am.
It's all hands on deck, let's go, let's do this, let's run.
Yeah.
And
I can make a lot more money selling real estate.
of course.
And I don't get fulfilled from it. I get fulfilled from watching my clients go up on stage and get awards. You know, I've helped people do launch of the year. I've helped them, you know, become Team Leader Hall of Fame. I mean, I have a bunch of clients that are in that, you know, past clients. And that is so much more fulfilling for me in my life than selling a house. Now, there's nothing wrong with selling a house, right? I just don't have passion around it. I would rather encourage people and teach them strategies how to build their life with selling houses.
Right. Okay, so you said there's a difference between training and coaching. What is the difference?
Training is teaching. So training is telling somebody what to do. Coaching is getting them to do it. So there's really a balance in coaching, right? And when you first start with a new client, you do have more of a balance of training, right? And a little bit of coaching. And then as you get into a couple months, then it becomes more balanced training and coaching. And then it becomes more coaching. And it's never like, some people just need to know the answer. You know, I'm not a big believer of, well, what do you think the answer is, Kara? Like this not psychology. This is not counseling. If a big producer needs an answer and you have the answer, you give it to them. You figure out how to strategize, get it implemented, and move on. And that's some of the concepts that we're bringing into Base Coaching Group.
Okay. So Base Coaching Group, tell me a little bit about it.
Well, BASE stands for Building Abundance Through Support and Empowerment. And that is a huge piece for us, right? Because we really want to build abundance, whether it's in your real estate life, your investing life, your personal life, your spiritual life, your health, whatever that is. It's such a huge thing to have an abundance mindset. And then by supporting, you know, we're supporting through all of our tools, all of our systems, our relationship with each other as coaches, you know, how we can help each other to help our clients more, right? Like that is such a different mindset than many companies use versus, no, these are my clients and I'm going to keep them. We're really developing a team to help each other so that we all develop at a higher level, learn from each other so that we can give more to our clients. And then that empowering, you know, that's when the coaching really comes in. Like we're here to empower people. We're here to get them to see their greatness and then step into it. And if we can't get them to step into it, then we're not the right coach. And then we're going to find the right coach within BASE. I also call it BCG, just for quick, so that we help them keep developing. Our goal is that they outgrow us as coaches, so then we have the next specialist for them.
Right. So when someone comes to you, and let's say, who can come to you? Who can come to Base Coaching?
Well, so Base Coaching Group has two different arms, right? So we have productivity coaching inside of our Keller Williams offices, and Coach Robin Sino leads that group, and she is absolutely phenomenal at that. And that is her passion, right? Getting agents brand new to come in and get to a capping status, which means they're at 100% as fast as possible. Once they get to 100%, depending on their business acumen, what their goals are, and how fast they want to go, after they get to 100%, if they're really ready to grow, anybody can come to us in one-on-one, and then we develop a strategy based on where they are, what their experience is, what they currently have in place, and then what's the roadmap to get them from here to here.
Okay. So anybody within Keller Williams?
Or outside.
Or outside.
Yeah. We're a real estate coaching company.
A real estate coaching company. So guys, this is so exciting. If you are with anybody and you want coaching, it's available, and it's not just here in Albuquerque. Your coaches are located where?
We've got one from Atlanta, one from Chicago, Austin, Texas, you here in Albuquerque, me in Kansas City, Joel's in Sacramento, Robin's in Cleveland.
Jesse's on the west side.
Yep. We have two others in Kansas City. I'm talking to more coaches. I've got one from Manhattan, New York that I'm talking to. I mean, they're really Nashville. They're from all over, which is great because you get a different perspective across the country. If you stay hyper local with your coach, it concerns me a little bit that you're not going to see what's outside. And you have to know what's happening outside with trends and systems and technology and everything else.
Okay. All right. Wow. So you've got this vision. You've been thinking about this for how long?
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah. Hard 4 years.
Okay. So tell me about that.
Well, so let me back up.
Okay.
I was a full-time coach for 7 years and had a lot of health problems. And in 2015, I had to make a really hard decision to leave coaching and go back and relaunch my real estate business. And I had some quality time in the hospital for 18 days with my colon surgery. And basically during that time, I just kept imagining laying in this hospital bed, right? Like, what do I have to do to prove myself as a realtor now to come back and coach anybody? I've proven myself in the leadership side. Now, how do I prove myself in the realtor side? You know, an agent in a broker business. What does that look like? And so I relaunched my team in 2016, and we went from 0 to 40 million in probably an average price of between 250 and 300. Our highest transactions were 127 the year that we hit 40 million. And there were 3 of us selling and 1 full-time admin. So it's not like a team of 10 people. And I personally have always sold between 15 and 20 million. I mean, that's just, my first year I came back, I sold 13.9 by myself with an admin and a coach. By the way, I hired a coach and an admin, and then I launched. And that coach was absolutely pivotal because I would have never called FSBOs and expireds in my life. And she connected me to 2 role play partners, one specialized in FSBOs, one specialized in expireds. And then I also connected with Laura Blessing, who's one of our coaches, for the Sphere role playing. And I role played every week for 30 minutes with these 3 people for the first year to warm me up to get on the phones. And literally, I've never in my career taken FSBOs and expireds. And I didn't just call them. She helped me develop a whole marketing and follow-up plan. And I mean, I just took her system, my coach's system, and put it in play. And then be like, hey, I took a FSBO and expired this week. Oh my gosh. Like, I've never done that before, right? And that helped me launch, which then a lot of those people become my sphere.
Right.
And now, I mean, my hairdresser was one of the FSBOs from the first year. So, I mean, some of my greatest friends came from expireds and FSBOs.
Okay. Wow. All right. So let's say someone comes to you and they are any company, and right now they're closing 20 deals a year, and they want to go to 100. They tell you, I realize that I've never done that before, but I want to go from 20 to 100. How do you take them there?
Well, the first thing is we do an audit.
Okay.
And that audit is about their tech and their systems. Because until we get a clear picture, Kara, of what they currently have in place, we can't build a roadmap for them. And that audit tells me a whole lot, right? And it also helps us assign which coach is going to be best to guide them on the roadmap. And I've been doing tech audits with my clients for years so that I know here's the first step, here's the second step, here's the third step. And this is how we've taken teams and blown them up in down years. Because we
Give
literally...
us an example.
Okay. So John Bolos Group out of Charlotte, North Carolina, he is one of my favorite people. And he actually came to the 12-week year, which I'm sure we're going to talk about, the 12-week year workshop that I did in Charlotte last December. And I cold called John. I'm like, give me the top agents. I'm going to cold call him. So I cold called John, and of course he didn't take my call. And he called me back and he said, okay, who are you? What is this class? What are you doing? And I said, well, I know you're this giant team. And I've had a lot of success in coaching teams in the 12-week year. So I also coached for a year and a half the Coalition Properties Group out of DC. They do about $170 million a year. And we literally ran a 12-week year for an annual year, right? We did 4 12-week years and got the whole team consistent in their production. So we took that and we had 14 people from his team come in, In 2022, they did 92.4 million. It is October. Year to date this year, I just got their last graphs, and they're at 114 million closed and pending. They will probably end up at about 125, which is a $38 million increase when our market is down 25%.
Oh my goodness.
And I will tell you, the mindset of those agents on that team in class, specifically Van, and I love this man. I've done a couple one-on-one coaching calls with him. He had a mindset of doing 25 deals a year. He's like, I have a goal of 25. And I probably didn't handle this really well in class. I just said, well, what's your full-time job?
Oh,
I'm so confused, right? Because if you do 2 a month and they're 30 hours each, that's 60 hours, and there's 160 hours available to work. What are you doing the other 100 hours? He didn't like that very well, by the way.
I'm sure he didn't.
No, he didn't.
No.
And so we got him to raise his goal to 40. Do you know he's on track to do 60 this year?
Whoa.
His whole life has changed. And so he did 14 in the first 12-week year. And then I'm like, okay, I need a one-on-one call with Van. I said, Van, do not raise your goal. Go back on 12. This time I want you to do it in 5 hours less a week. And then the next time he hit 14 again. And then I said, don't raise your goal. Now I want you to do it 2 less hours than that a week. So now Van is building these systems, Kara, and we're moving him into listings more. And he's building a business inside of John's team that is absolutely phenomenal and totally supported. And he's never really worked, they've never worked their sphere. They're a Zillow Flex team. So we brought in Sphere systems, and we brought in closed Facebook group, which you know is my secret sauce, and Google reviews. And now all of a sudden, that all contributed to their business going way up. And we did that all through the leverage of the 12-week year for execution.
My goodness. Oh my goodness. That is so life-changing. It's everything. You raised his financial thermostat. You did all of that. You didn't, but you guided.
Yeah. I gave him the framework.
Right. And he ran with it, and that's phenomenal. Okay. Yeah. So the 12-week year is a wonderful book Brian Moran wrote, and you are a certified trainer.
Certified trainer.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I started doing the 12-week year in 2019. So in 2019, I think we did like 18.8 million, and there were 2 of us selling. And then I thought, okay, we got to hit 30 million. Like the whole stage has been set. I have a director of ops who's been on with me for a year. I have a brand new agent that came and joined me from Title, who I really believed in, had a huge drive and a big passion to win, Eddie. And then I had another agent who had 5 years experience. And I'm like, there's no way the 3 of us cannot hit 30 million. Well, the first quarter went by, and my coach said, okay, quarterly review, let's look at your numbers. And we'd only closed 3.8 million. We were on a trajectory of 15 million that year. A lot of it was I slowed way down to train. So I took my foot off the gas, and literally Don said to me, look, I'm done with your whining. I'm done with your excuses. Go read this book and implement it. And then we'll have another call.
Millionaire?
No, the 12-week year.
12-week year. Gotcha. Okay.
12-week year. We did everything wrong. We did it as a book club. We did not read it directly. We did everything wrong. However, what we did right was we set a goal. We worked ourselves backwards to say, okay, what do we have to do in this 12-week year to get on track to hit our 30 million? So we set a goal of 30 listings taken and 45 pending. We only closed 18 deals our first quarter. So we ended up taking 29 listings, and we did 46 pending. And it gave us the focus of really small. Like literally every day I would say, okay, here's your prescription for lead generation, right? Go do that. We'd all go do our lead generation. Then we'd come back and we'd say, okay, who's the next person to go under contract? Who's the next person to list their house? We just got to do 1 a week, 1 a week, 1 a week. And that's how we did crazy numbers. My team has now done 17 12-week years. So then we started building in foundational systems in each 12-week year. This 12-week year, we built out our Google My Business. This 12-week year, we built out all of our online leads, our CRM, and all of our follow-up system. This 12-week year, we did all of our BombBomb systems and all of our videos for transaction coordination. so that they get the video. Hey, congratulations, you're over the first hurdle. Here's what's coming up. See all the information down below. All of that is now systematized, which is how two of us now will do right around 30 million with a TC, and we each have 3 other businesses. So I will still do between 17 and 20 million this year. It depends on how much coaching I have going on at the end of the year. I'm training a lot in what all happens, and I'm already at 16 or 17, so it's good.
It's all good.
It's all good.
Why do you work so hard?
Oh, my kids. I mean, I work so hard too because, and I always have, by the way. It's who I am. It's how I was raised. You know, my parents are very simple, and I grew up very simple. I mean, my first 8 years of life, we were in a trailer. We lived in Wyoming. You know, my dad literally caught all of our food, hunted. That's why I don't eat game today, by the way, ever, ever. Don't ever ask me to eat anything game. I will not do it because we literally lived on it as children. And, you know, they taught us that debt is not acceptable, that by the age of 35, my parents had owned a couple businesses. My dad worked in Alaska as a welder, and they paid off everything by the age of 35. They've never had a credit card debt. They've never had a car payment. They've never had a house payment since they were 35.
Wow.
And they live a great life. And, you know, they've done everything to work for retirement and lived. You know, now they go back and forth between a couple of our houses, my sisters and I, and between our vacation homes. And you know, they've taught us to work hard to live simple, meaning not have the big debt. And I live that way. And I don't ever buy anything that I can't afford. I've never bought a house that I didn't make more than the entire purchase of the house, except for my very first one, in a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredibly disciplined. Okay, so you're coaching us. I am one of her coaches, by the way, and you're coaching us to coach on everything.
Yeah.
So someone who's coming to us and they are very business driven, and that's their focus. That's where we drill down. And if they come to us and their marriage is falling apart and their family is like really, really sucking them down and they can't make themselves get up and do their job, we're the spot for that as well.
You know, it's about coaching to the whole. And, you know, we're going to bring in investor coaches. We're going to bring in, we already have a language coach, right? Mm-hmm. Joel Rico with Language of Agreement. There are so many different facets of coaching and so many different things that we deal with in our life. And not all of us are specialists on everything. And that's the goal of us really getting to know each other as coaches, to say, hey, I've got a client struggling here. Do you want to coach him for 6 months, go fix that, and then give him back to me so I can grow him in a different direction?
How cool is that, guys? That is totally focused on the client's needs. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We got to help them win.
That's right.
I mean, we wouldn't be a coach if we didn't help them win.
Yeah.
And our job is to have the playbook and then understand where they are. Like, where are you right now? Where do you want to go? And what's the path to get them there? You know, I always say, you know, why do you hire a coach? Well, if I dropped you in the middle of a forest and it is so thick, you have no idea which way to turn, and your goal is to get out of that forest in 30 minutes, and you literally keep hitting trees and trees and trees because you can't see the sunshine. Well, if you have a coach flying over the forest going, turn right, turn left, turn right, go 5 feet, turn left, and you get out of the forest in 10 minutes, it's like, do you want to take the stairs or do you want to take an elevator? Well, I always want to take an elevator if it's on the 20th floor because I want to get there fast.
Yeah. So it's someone who is has never been in coaching and is afraid. Like, they're afraid. They're like, that would be extremely vulnerable, wouldn't it, to get a coach?
You know, I think it is. You have to be vulnerable. I mean, a lot of people come in with a lot of shields. And we have to get to that vulnerability. And the quicker we get to that vulnerability, the quicker we can help them move. And it's us having the skills to peel back those layers and say, okay, what really is the root? What is causing you to be stuck here? And remember, always look internal before you look external. Like, what's going on in their head? What's going on in their mind? What's going on in their family? What's going on that's stopping them from taking the action to go get where they want to be? And really, with a couple conversations, we can figure that out.
How does it feel when you see that they got it?
Oh, it's a high.
Whoo!
Like, it is, I've never done like crazy illegal drugs, Kara, and I will tell you that, and I'd say this all the time, like when I speak or when that coaching client gives me that aha, I'm pretty sure that's the best feeling I could ever have in my lifetime.
Exactly. And that's the kind of coaching company you want to work with. I mean,
yeah,
for real.
Well, and we're really about the client. And, if they want to build their investments, there's so many different things that we can do in real estate, and we can build big lives and build big companies, or we can keep it simple and do a lot in a little amount of time and have a lot of time. It just depends on where they want to go. Our job is to say, okay, where are you at? Where do you want to go? Now, here's the elevator.
All right. So you base coaching group on the 12-week year. That's
one of our pillars. That's one of our pillars.
Okay. So tell me a little bit more about how the 12-week year has impacted other people in your coaching. It obviously has done wonders for your team personally.
Yeah.
How has it impacted others?
I will tell you, as a team lead, right? A leader of a team and or a leader of an office, being able to focus a team on 2 simple goals, and then they each have to have 1 personal goal, and staying right there and not letting them squirrel off. No, we're staying right here, right? Here are the tactics. Here's the week plan. Here's the scoreboard. I'll tell you, a lot of people get really uncomfortable with that scoreboard, Kara, because, I coach these teams and I get on and I'm like, where are your numbers? Well, I didn't have any. Well, 0 is a number. I still need you to put in your numbers. They don't like putting up zeros. And they also don't like the uncomfortableness that all of a sudden there's a superstar like a van that's hitting 14 and they're like, well, that's not fair. Nope, it is fair. And we literally just shift the whole playing ground. Everything's even, right? And it gives them a way not to get distracted or an overwhelm in this business. And when Brian and Michael were doing studies on all these thousands of companies, they figured out that in the 4th quarter, they did more business than a lot of times in 2 quarters combined. So they thought, okay, well, with the type, they have to see the finish line with a scoreboard, with planning, with tactics, and then you have accountability involved. And that's self-accountability. That's actually a characteristic trait. We're not going to hold anybody accountable. We're going to hold them capable. And with this going into teams, it has changed everything, because now the team leads have a very simple way to coach everybody, right? Okay, right. Show me your planner. Show me what you accomplished. Well, here's why you have a 0. Where are your contacts? Who did you, and if that didn't work, what did you change this week to get that to work? Instead of waiting a quarter to look at your numbers like you do in an annual plan, you do this weekly. Well, you can move on a dime. The clients that we were coaching during COVID, when their states shut down, most of them all of them were on a 12-week year. We just turned them. Do you know how many teams just tore up their annual plan and put it in a drawer? And yet, we helped all of our clients excel that year, because we're like, okay, well, now, you're in your 6th week. Let's finish out this. Now we're going to retool and go again. We happened to start our new 12-week year the day that our governor shut down our state. And we did something really wild. I had this vision. Of course, my team was not happy with me. And every day I said, we're going to wake up and we're going to give our whole sphere something fun to think about. So we have a closed group on Facebook and with our sphere, and we have about 650 people in there. And every day they woke up and got to see what the Shanan group contest of the day was. And we did crazy stuff. Like on a Friday night, who can chug a beer the fastest? And we gave out these fabulous awards. They were $5 gift cards to Starbucks and a geometric adult coloring book. And we delivered it to their houses. And then we'd take videos of us delivering it to their houses. And by the way, we did that for 30 days. We got 15 referrals without ever asking for a referral. Wow. And it was because we gave people hope. We came from contribution. And we could do that because we turn on a dime on a 12-week. It's not that easy in an annual because in your head, you're like, oh, I got to wait till January to start over. I got to wait till the next quarter to look at my numbers. No. We look at them every week. That scoreboard is absolutely everything. Are you winning or are you losing? And many realtors will not look at their numbers. They don't want to watch them. Well, how big of life are you giving up if you don't watch your numbers? Like, if you want to play in the game, hire a coach and go live the great life. Whatever it is that you want to do, whatever that great life is, however you define it.
You know, I don't think most people have anywhere in their life that there is 30 minutes focused Zoom and all the calls are recorded, which is pretty cool because you can go back and hear them again. I don't think anyone has that where 30 minutes every week is all focused on you. How can we help you? What can we do for you? We're looking at you. We're there with you. That just in and of itself right now, I think is incredibly valuable, let alone everything and the tools that you're bringing to the table. And the 12-week year, guys, you can read the 12-week year. I did. Mm-hmm. I read it.
Many people have.
Please read it. And you may implement a little bit. However, it's the greats in anything have coaches. Why? Why do we need coaches?
Oh, I still need a coach. I've been coached since 2006.
Why?
Smokey Garrett is my coach right now, right? Like he's holding my feet to the fire every week to build this company in our partnership. I need that. I need to be coached. I mean, we all need to be coached, right? Because otherwise you're just going to go through life living it okay. And then are you really doing everything you want to do on this earth? I mean, we don't know when our last day is. Life is really precious. And how big are you living? I literally sat in a funeral when I was 40 years old, and it was a middle sister just like me, and she passed away from breast cancer. And I remember sitting in that pew going, these two sisters got up and talked about how Kelly had lived her life to full capacity at the age of 40. And I just sat there and I thought, my sisters couldn't say that about me. And it really bugged me. And that's when I really went on a journey of, now I'm going to really start traveling with my children and exposing them to the world and doing the craziest things that I possibly can, because I don't know when you're going to be taken from this earth. And I want my sisters to be able to stand up there and go, man, she just nailed living life to the fullest.
And they certainly can.
They you know this. I take a vacation a month.
Yeah.
And by the way, it may only be 3 days. It
is what it is.
And I purposely have investment properties in places that I want to be. And those are retirement places for me. And I go to Colorado as much as I can. I go to Bozeman to see my son as much as I can. I've gotten back into photography, which is my love and passion. And now I'm painting some of my pictures. And these are just things that I go, I'm going to go nail it so that I get to go live this big life. And I just have that passion around that to share that with everybody in our ecosystem.
Were you at the seminar that Ed Milet spoke at? Was that one of the most powerful things?
Just one more.
Well, just one more. And when he said about his friend who was talking about abuse, and he said, I see neglect in your home because you're not going for it. You're telling your kids you can go for it and you can do anything, yet you're not going for it. Mm-hmm. And she was highly offended, but it is. You're telling them you can have it all, but if you're not doing it, why would they?
Right. And by the way, I use this, I demonstrate this with my kids, right? Was I in your car last night when Ellie called me about where she's going to go to her next venture of school?
To medical school. Yeah.
Yeah. And she was like, well, maybe Florida, maybe Texas, maybe Minneapolis. And I'm like, what about Kansas City? Oh, Mom, come on. Come on. Really? Really? Come on. You really want me to stay around? It's probably not going to happen. I got to go see the world. And my son, as a junior in high school, he applied to 10 mountain schools without telling me, got an academic scholarship, and came to me and said, can I go? And he went to Montana State, Bozeman, Montana, and he graduated college, and he's still there on his second job and living his life to the absolute fullest, Kara. That kid hikes or fishes every day. In the wintertime, he skis. As a student, he skied 50 days a year. They have summited so many mountains around there. The amount that he's already lived at the age of 24 is huge. And that fills my heart because I have taught both of them to live every day.
Right.
And have no boundaries. And that's how I see, I'm successful as a role model because of how my kids are now being as adults.
The proof is in the pudding. No question about it. So you guys that are here in Albuquerque, and even those of you that are watching from outside, you might want to come in for this. And I'll let you know when it is. Shanan is going to be teaching the 12-week year right here live. And so whether you're with Keller Williams or you're not, it doesn't matter. We welcome everybody to our classes. And so we will get back to you on when that is.
Yep.
And in the meantime, if somebody is interested and is just curious about coaching, let me ask you this. When they come to you, what is the process? What can they expect?
Okay. So we do have a very clear process to make sure that we're intaking all the correct information and then assigning them to the right coach. So there's a 3-step process. Number 1, doing a DISC and going through an assessment, a behavioral assessment with one of our coaches who's actually a Harvard Business School teacher right now. And she's going to just assess and see, where you are and how you're hardwired. And then you're going to go through a step with Joel Rico on what is your future self, meaning where are you really going and in all aspects of your life. And then you're going to do a tech and systems audit with me so I can assess and help the coach that we assign you to know what's the roadmap for systems and tech, because that really is one of the big reasons that people come and find a coach. I need systems. I need to know what to do. I don't know this. Well, when we take you through this audit, it really becomes glaring. Here's step 1, here's step 2, here's step 3. Then we assign the coach.
Okay, perfect. Any last words of wisdom? What about books? Anything podcast, anything that somebody should listen to?
Well, your podcast, of course.
There we go. I love this woman.
12-week year. I absolutely live by it. We're reading a great book right now, and it's really refocusing me and recentering me. I read it a long time ago, Great Teens by Don Yeager. And I loved reading this chapter, chapter 5, when it talks about the roadmap. And that really impacted me as we together are developing this new company in partnership with Smokey and David, and understanding what our roadmap is and then figuring out the roadmap for each specific client. Because there's no one roadmap. There's just not, right? Like, we all have different talents. We have different behaviors. We want to go different directions. And understanding that roadmap is really key. And by the way, they had an example from Bill Snyder from K-State football. And I happened to be, going to those football games back in those days. And it was really fun for him to have his 16 goals. He had no players that had ever had a win. And he came in and became one of the winningest coaches in football. And he relied on those 16 goals of taking them back and getting them recentered. So I think any book that helps you get recentered and clears your focus, Atomic Habits, of course, is one of my favorites. Just put on your tennis shoes and then it'll lead to you exercising. There's
hacks.
Yeah. I'm a big John Maxwell girl. I became John Maxwell certified in 2011 in his first group of certifications. There were about 22 of us coaches that went together. And, huge fan of his. He's done a lot of private sessions for us as coaches, and his books, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, that's just a gold standard for me. The Law of the Lid is my favorite. I don't believe in a lid.
She doesn't.
I don't have a lid. You know, my coach told me that. He's like, you need to read this book because you don't have a lid. You don't even know what a lid, you don't even know how to spell lid.
He's right.
I'm like, you're right. How do you spell a lid? I don't know.
No.
So it's fun having those conversations with leaders of teams of, you know, what lid are you putting on your agents based on your development? And how do we remove your lid so that they don't have a lid? How do we make your world bigger so they can grow inside of you so they don't leave you? There's so many, I always lean into leadership.
Of course. And you're very, very good at it. So for those of you that are curious, there's a thing where they have a flea in a jar and the flea can jump out of the jar, and then they put the lid on and the flea can't jump out, and then they take the lid off and it still thinks it can't. So it's so much of what's holding you back is your thinking, and you're completely oblivious to it. And somebody can say, hey, check this out. And it's like, and we love it when you have the moment, because we know
absolutely.
we did our jobs.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.